funniest stories you're gonna have to ask some of these other guys. It's gonna revolve around the conditioning session.
Conditioning. I got you.
If you want to hear some funny stuff, you talk to some of those guys about
Yeah.
that. I might tell you some things that went on back in those days, but
Yeah.
that's about the only thing that you're probably gonna see that's just gonna be so memorable. Because
Yeah.
every time we get together, they bring that stuff up. Like
That's the only thing.
I found myself being the only one sitting around not laughing and not remembering.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Rodney Cooper, and I'm the host of Locker Room Talk with Coop. I got another great guest coming in for you guys. I got my guy, my big bro, one of Alabama greats, Richard Hendrix. Coming out of high school, he had a long list of accolades, but just to name a few, in 2005, he was Mr. Basketball, Parade All-American, McDonald's All-American. Also, he was a Jordan Brand All-American as well, and then decided to play for the University of Alabama from years 2005 to 2008. And after his junior year, he entered his name into the draft and got picked up by the Golden State Warriors in the second round. And up until this point, Richard's played 13 years as a professional athlete. And me and Richard, man, we had a great conversation. We talked about his story, advice to the youth and college guys that you guys should definitely tap into. And also, he gave a wealth of knowledge throughout this conversation as well. And we talked about financial literacy too. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And guys, make sure that you guys like, comment, share this video with somebody you think will enjoy it. And also, hit that red button, those red letters that say subscribe for your boy if you're enjoying the show. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. So check it out. So we got the OG, one of Alabama greats, my guy, the big bro, Richard Hendrix, on the show. What's up, big bro? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So first off, for the people that's gonna be, watching and listening to this, my guy Richard, man, he got a little baby girl now. So I just want to say on here, congrats, man.
Thank you. Our family's growing, but we're definitely happy about the new addition.
Got you. And I don't have any kids now, so I know just asking questions on, the other parents, they say, in the beginning stage, you definitely lose a lot of sleep. So I definitely appreciate you taking time out to come on, man.
Well, for me, maybe I'm a little bit different. I feel like the beginning stage is the easiest because, they can't
Really?
move. They can't move. So, I'm a little bit bigger guy, so I have to get after the other ones, and so the little one can't move. If they cry, they only want a couple of things. They're either hungry, they're dirty,
Right.
or they're sleepy or
Sleepy,
something.
right,
So
right.
I can figure that out. It's a little bit difficult with the older ones, but we'll get it done.
I got you. So let's jump right into it, man. So let the people know your story, being a kid from, Athens, Alabama, playing high school ball at, Athens High School up until the point you decided to play for the University of Alabama.
Oh, wow. I grew up in Athens, Alabama. My parents are both educators. I have two older sisters. So I grew up my whole life being around the game of basketball, and actually we were part of an Alabama family. A lot of people don't really realize, but, I had 5 cousins and an aunt graduate from the University of Alabama before I ever attended.
All
So,
women.
yeah, I was the
Yeah.
first
Person.
male
Yeah. Yep.
first graduate in the family. So I guess, going to the University of Alabama was a little bit of a family thing, but I had a great upbringing. Growing up in Athens, Alabama, a community full of support, full of pride. We had a lot of people who helped to push me and mold me to who I am today, and I can't be appreciative for the upbringing that I had.
Got you. Now, and that's gonna be my next question as far as, you being the first guy to go to UA, and you got a bloodline of, females in the family, going to the University of Alabama. So, and then also I know as far as your, in high school, your dad was your coach. So what was that like, having your dad as a coach in high school?
Well, it came natural. I think my dad did a fair job of trying to run the team and treat everyone fair, I guess.
Right, right.
A lot of times it's a little bit challenging for kids who play for their fathers. But
Right.
I think like the biggest thing growing up in a small town like I did, we all knew each other from a young age. So
Right.
it was a natural fit, to play for my father. He treated me like everyone else, and I played hard. We had a lot of success. We had a couple teams go to Final Fours and
Nice.
got to a state championship game my junior year. It was a lot of fun. Some memories I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Mm. So I know also, I know you say you had a bloodline of, family members going to the University of Alabama. So did you have a top five coming out? Because I know you know, definitely had a lot of offers. So was Alabama always set in stone, or did you have like a top five? Did you take advantage of those official visits,
Well,
or what?
I know it's 2021, so it's been a long time. People
You're in
don't.
your prime. You're in your prime, man.
I still feel like I can still do some things, but
Right.
definitely when I look back on it, I had a pretty good high school career.
Right.
I was fortunate to play with some good AAU organizations with the Alabama
Mm,
Lasers. Gave me an opportunity when I was 14, 15 years old.
mm,
Uh, I was able to get on the national stage and be one of the highly touted, most recruited players in the class of 2005, highly
right.
ranked. So with that, it came a lot of, accolades with the McDonald's All-American game, the Jordan game,
Right.
and I had a lot of choices to go wherever. But I ultimately narrowed down my decision my junior year to just two
Mm,
places, with Alabama and the University of North Carolina.
okay.
North Carolina, special place.
Right.
Took a visit there. I loved the campus. I loved Coach Williams. The tradition that they had there was
Hmm.
just unmatched like any other. And it was a very hard choice. But Alabama was the school that actually recruited me first, ever since I
Mm,
was a freshman in college.
mm.
I mean, I was a freshman in high school. And there was a loyalty factor that I had to Coach Pearson, Coach Godfrey, who were recruiting me.
Okay. Yeah. Pearson
One,
recruited me too. Him and Petway. Yep.
yeah, and
Mm,
one of the major selling points that they were able to sell to me is just the fact that this is my home state.
right.
When you go somewhere, you playing on the game. You have Alabama across your chest, and there's a
Right.
sense of that. We had a top 5 recruiting class with myself and Alonzo G,
Hmm.
headliner, Yamin Coleman, Brandon Hollinger, and Greg Cage were in that class. And
Right.
the class before was headlined by Ronald Steele. And this was all coming after a period of University of Alabama being number 1 in the country in 2003,
Mm,
won the SEC championship in 2002.
right.
It went to an Elite Eight in 2004.
Yep.
So to me, it made a lot of sense to come and stay at the home state school in 2005 because I honestly felt like I could be the next piece to help us get to a Final Four and beyond. Didn't work out that way, but that was the thought process and my decision back in 2004.
Right. And I definitely know what you mean as far as, being an in-state kid and going to, the college as far as the state that you're from, because I know, this past year when, John Petty, Herb Jones, those guys, when they, won the SEC championship and those guys was out there crying on the court once they won. And when I was watching the game, I was like, dang, I had got chills. It hit me. It felt like I had won too, like with them. And it's just a different feeling being, an in-state kid and then being able to accomplish those things. So yeah. But
Definitely so.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was definitely so with the program in a school as good as the university.
Right,
There's a sense of pride that comes with being from that school and from that
right,
state.
right. Got you. So I know you was talking about as far as some of the things you accomplished in high school. As far as you have a long list. When I was doing research, I was like, God, he ain't playing. Yeah, he ain't playing. So you being Mr. Basketball in 2005, Parade All-American, McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand All-American, played in the Nike Hoop Summit, as well as you won the gold medal with the USA, Junior Olympic team, so and much more. So let me ask you this for the young people that's going to be watching this, like, what inspired you to be, great growing up?
Well, I have to admit I was blessed with some size and ability.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit that first and foremost. Blessed with a little bit of size and some ability to play the game. But I definitely have had a natural competitiveness about myself to push myself in the game of
Right.
basketball. With my dad being a coach, I had,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some access and some advantages to having that type of tutelage at a young age to really hone my skills.
Right.
And that that was a major factor to me being able to achieve some of the achievements that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
But just the desire to constantly go out there and
Mm-hmm.
work on your game, to compete, to study your opponents, to study the history of the game.
Right.
It's a non thing. And if I was to tell young kids, know the history of the game,
Right.
understand the people who have come before
For
you,
you.
who
Right.
played foundation for you to have what you have today.
Mm-hmm.
Be a student of the game in all aspects so you can be the best player that you can be. And then push yourself. Push yourself as best you can with the information and knowledge that you have from the coaches and teachers and everyone else in your support staff as best you can to be the best player you can, to get as much as you can out of life from this game.
Right, right. Exactly. Just to piggyback off what you're saying, just for the kids out there, you have to have a healthy, obsession with your craft as far as, like you said, learn, studying the game, working on your weaknesses, building on your strengths and stuff like that, and surrounding yourself around people that's going to make you better. And just like you said, showing respect to the people that came before you, because just like the guys now in the NBA, they getting paid money that's crazy. And I'm like, it's the guys before them, the legends before them, that laid that foundation and built it up to where it is now, to where they can be able to get this type of money and get this type of access, especially with college now, with the NIL, they giving out crazy money with that too. But as far as, just to name off a few more things, in high school, so you set the record all time for points scored, rebounding, shot blocking, and consecutive game starts. So it's crazy as far as, some of the stuff you accomplished. So share with the people, because I definitely want the young people to know, as far as with you, getting to the level that you've gotten to, as far as the mindset and the work ethic you have to be able to accomplish some of those things. So talk about that.
Well, you have to be hungry. And like
Right.
I said, you have to understand the landscape and the room around you, where you want to be, what is the goal that you want to go, how have you seen other players who have some of the attributes that you have,
Right.
how have they taken advantage of what they have to get to where they want to be.
Mm.
I'm really big on having a lot of respect for the people who come before me. As you mentioned before, I was a big fan of watching guys at Alabama before me: Irwin Dudley, Chuck Davis,
Yep.
Jamario, even as far back as, in the mid 90s when I first started watching the teams, watching Antonio McDyess and Jason Caffey, other big men who play similar styles. Robert Ory, as
Yeah.
everyone knows. What
Right.
did they do to get to where they had to get to? And what can you add to your game to see if it can work for you? That's a major thing that I would say to kids, is just you have to push yourself based on the information you know. Now, like I said, I had a lot of success in high school and college
Right.
and even in the professional ranks.
Right.
But you always want to push to have no regrets, that you gave it all that you have,
Right.
and hope that what you get from it can be what you put in.
Got you. That's dope, man. That's dope. So with you, going from high school and all the accolades that you accomplished in high school, what would you say was the biggest challenge for you making that transition from high school to college?
Well, like it seems, I've only been out of, I guess I went to Alabama in 2005, but I
Yep.
kind of sometimes feel like with the social media age, it seems like it's so long ago.
Right.
Like
Right.
a lot of people, I missed a wave of this moment where social media came after. And it's like anyone who came before a lot of this stuff is a dinosaur.
Right. Right. And
They
it never
forget.
happened. And if it's not on film, it didn't happen. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm not that old. I still play it to this day.
Right.
So it's all available.
And I saw a clip too that you posted that you was giving somebody buckets like outside. I saw that too. I saw that too.
We'll have to discuss that later.
Right. I said it's like riding the bike. It's like riding the
Oh,
bike. Yeah.
but I would say, um, it's so many things that you have to work on your game as far as, I guess your question was to answer what about the accolades and then going to the University of Alabama, what made it difficult.
Yeah.
The difficult aspect for me was just like anyone. I had a learning curve.
Right.
Even though I'm a talented player, what you'll find out when you get to the college ranks is, regardless of the accolades that everyone else has and the notoriety, everyone on the roster is a good player in their
Right.
respective right.
Right.
I showed up and I already had an all-conference player in Chuck Davis, who,
Right.
in my opinion, is one of the best players I've ever played against.
Mm.
Jamario Davidson was an
Right.
all-conference center. And I knew what I was signing up for, to join a roster that had a lot of players in my position, but I've never been one to shy against competition.
Right.
But to find out, in your time there, like, these guys really can play. And in the off season, in your pickup games and in the workouts, you'll find out that players have more in their game than what maybe they can display in the team setting.
100%. Right.
When you find this out, then you have to learn how to apply your game to the team setting to make everyone else's best and to serve, the particular desires and needs of the coach.
Right.
Which is what you should be. You should follow what the coach and his leadership has set in order.
Right.
That is a very hard pill for freshmen to swallow coming in. Because
right.
You're the man on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, you're far better than the peers that you've played with in the past. And everything that you have done has been accepted by the coaches that you've had previously.
Right.
And when you join a team where everyone is on that same plane as you or higher,
right.
Now you have to hone your game into something more specific just to get playing time.
Right.
Just to get a role. That was not an easy adjustment for me. But fortunately for me, I have always been a very strong rebounder. And what I would tell young kids, especially big men, if you want to get on the court, be a good rebounder.
Erwin Dudley said the same thing. He said the same thing. Yeah.
There's never a coach that's not going to play a guy who's going to pull rebounds. And when I joined that team, I had some things I had to learn to get up to the speed of the game, which eventually I had a learning curve, but I felt like I got over that. That older guys had those skill sets offensively to be able to take advantage of just because of the maturity.
Right.
But rebounding, I could step right in and do that with anyone. And if I was able to do that, that was a way that I was able to get on the court and make an impact. And then the learning curve from the system and the program and other aspects of things started to pick up as time went forward.
And I can definitely attest to that as far as when we played pickup. I don't know if you remember when we did alumni versus the teams we had. You definitely was putting in a lot of rebounds. I'm like, man, this guy mid-range is crazy. And then, like, your hands, I'm like, man, what is he doing? You kept, like, faking like you was about to pass it. I was like, this man hands is crazy. I'm like, what is this dude doing? But, I mean, you was doing your thing out there, especially that pick and pop. Like, that was cash. Like, the ball's going through the net and coming back to him. I was like, yeah, he done perfected that for sure. For sure.
I mean, and that's an aspect that I'm saying is that a lot of times when you watch the game on TV, you might not see that I have that in my game.
Right, right.
Because when you're on a team, the important part of the team is to do your job in order for the betterment of the team. Sometimes that results in winning. Sometimes it does not. But you still have an obligation to give the team what's your best attribute. That's a hard pill for people to swallow coming to college. Because you want to be an all-around player. And it's hard to accept that maybe your skills are not what you think they are compared to your peers.
Right.
Very hard.
And I mean, the very few times I actually entertain people that, aren't in our shoes as far as having conversations about this when they be talking about certain players and stuff like that, I'm like, the guys on the bench are nice. The thing is, you guys just don't realize because we're all playing against guys at the same level. And then, like you were saying, as far as you got to figure out how can you fit into the system. Like, all of us came out of school like we were scoring, top numbers. But when you go to college, you got to figure out how you can fit in that system. And on top of that, if he give you a role, you got to be able to star in your role. And that's what a lot of guys, just like, a lot of these guys that specialize in, like you were saying, rebounder, Reggie Evans. Reggie Evans wasn't that skilled, but he had a long career in the NBA because he realized what he was good at and started in that role. And, offensively, he was, I guess challenged as far as at the NBA level. But if you see him in pickup games, he killing. Like I was seeing some of his games, but yeah, I'm with you on that. So like you were saying with the squad you guys had as far as, Alonzo G, Ron Steele, Chuck Davis, Jamario Davidson, Mikael Riley, just to name a few, what was the most memorable moment for you during your time at Bama on the court? It could either be like a behind-the-scenes type moment, as far as during the timeout, or something happened at the fans, on the court as far as talking trash. But what you can share with the people?
Oh, well, we definitely had a –
he looking away. Well, go ahead.
I guess I might be getting some nightmares.
Some nightmares.
More than anything, are going to be the conditioning sessions.
I was going to ask that, but go ahead. Yeah.
I hate to admit it now, but I probably don't have the best reputation when it comes to talking about the conditioning sessions. But, I've kind of been a little more in a work smarter, not harder role. Not to say that I don't work
Working
You know,
efficient. Right.
yeah, I'm an efficiency guy.
Right.
Not a track athlete. Never really have. But if you were to ask the guys that play with me, I'm pretty sure the funniest moments would probably be surrounding around the conditioning sessions, and I gave it all I had.
I get
And,
all you had. I need to hear the story. I get all you had. What happened? What he said I gave it all I
uh,
had.
I'm just saying, I gave it all I had when it comes to the conditioning. So I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to ask some of the other guys that were around back in those days, because that seems to be the thing that I always get the most about. It's something I can never escape. That they would
Right.
bring up for some reason. I'm like, of all the things that I did, that's what you remember.
Right. Exactly.
Those days were brutal. The funny thing, I talk to guys now all the time, like a guy like who watched a lot of press conferences. It's funny because back then we ran a lot. We ran a lot outside,
Right.
and I'm not a runner. Maybe someone could debate and say maybe it's not a lot of running, but I
Right.
thought it was. But it's funny now, the science moves forward. I watched Nick Saban in his press conference, and they asked him a question about strength and conditioning,
Yeah.
and he was saying that because of the science, we have a science guy and we have a strength and conditioning guy, and a
Mm.
lot of the things we used to do, like running 16 110s and all of these 60 40s and all of these these 60-yard sprints and
Right.
40-yard sprints. He said we don't do any of that anymore, and I'm just sitting here thinking, man, I thought I had it right back in the day. Like, trying to say that all of this wasn't what we
Man,
needed, but
my guy Brian Vogler, he was a tight end at Alabama. He said if you could ask any one of the guys, they ran, I think it was 31 or 32 110s one day. And it was because Trent Richardson. He said, "Nah, he the most hardest working teammate he ever played against. Like, I mean, not played against, but played with. But he hurt his groin and he wouldn't come out, so they had to keep running because he wasn't making his times and he was trying to fight through it. And they was like, man, let the coach know you hurt. But he said, man, they ran. I think it was 31 or 32 110. Just imagine that. That I think that he he said.
they're lucky I wasn't in the line. We probably 31. But it's funny. You move now into science. Now it's kind of suggesting that that's not the best way to be in the most optimal shape.
Right.
So I like to just think of it that maybe I was ahead of my curve when it comes to the understanding of strength and conditioning. But I don't think that's the reputation. But I'll live with it.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. So each year, your numbers improve from your freshman year, averaging 9.7 points a game. Sophomore year, 14.6 a game. And your junior year, you averaged 17.8 points per game. So you was going crazy. So talk about, what it took to improve each year like that. And I know as far as it was your sophomore year, your field goal percentage was 60%, which basically means you was an automatic bucket. So, at least 6 out of 10, you're getting a bucket. So talk about what that process was like from your freshman year to your junior year before you decided to go pro, on how your numbers improved each year.
I have to give credit to the coaching staff.
Mm,
Honestly, we did not achieve the results that I would have liked to achieve when I was at the university.
right,
It is one of the things that to this day that I wish, and just as every player wishes when they play on a team, they want to leave a legacy. They want to
right,
do something special with their teammates. They want to be, one of those, players that people never forget about.
right,
And unfortunately, I don't think we achieved the team success that we could have achieved with the talent that we had. There were many reasons for that.
right,
A lot of it was out of the control of everyone, but nonetheless, we did not. But in those 3 years, I was pleased to see that I did have some improvement
mm,
every single year in every area. Um, every single year, my rebounds went up, my
right,
points went up, my turnovers went down. Every
mm,
positive stat that you have was an improvement, and a lot of it had to do with just trusting in the coaching staff to try to be more consistent player, try to be a better leader,
right,
try to study the game.
mm,
And I was on a trajectory where I really do feel like if I had a tough decision if I wanted to leave and go back, but I had a goal going into the last year that I felt like if I kept that same pace,
right,
improving my points and rebounds, and I definitely could be statistically maybe atop the leaderboard in many categories at
right,
university.
right,
I was on pace, but I made the decision to go pro early, and I haven't had any regrets.
Got you. And I know I saw that, your junior year, going into your junior year, you had 76 consecutive games played. And that streak ended against Kentucky because you had the flu. So talk about, during that time what that was like. And you couldn't pull off a Michael Jordan flu game? You couldn't pull it up?
You know, I came down with something. I was feeling really, really weak. Head
Yeah,
was hurting. Flew to Lexington, and it was just got time for the game, and I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to give it enough for the team.
right,
I look back in hindsight, and I can't feel how I felt at the particular time.
right.
It is something that I honestly wish that I would have tried to kind of, figured out a way to give something to the team.
Right.
Still proud of what the guys were able to do in that particular game and put up a fight in a tough environment. But of course, I wish that I would have just been healthy to have a
Right.
good week of practice, move into the game, and give us a chance to win. But obviously, I've always been a person who kind of believes in pushing through things.
Right.
And that was, I think, in the one time in my whole career, I never missed a game in high school, started every game. That was the only game I missed in college. And after
That's
13 years as a professional, I probably haven't missed 13 games. So I take pride in being available. I've always said, your best ability is availability.
Availability. Right.
I take pride in being there. But that one day, getting sick and not being able to overcome it or being able to find the way to get through it, I wish that I could have a do-over with that one. But, you learn lessons moving forward in life.
Right. And for the young people that's going to be watching it, that just says a lot about you, too, as far as the mindset you have, as far as being available and being durable and reliable, too, because, of course, during those times, I'm pretty sure you was sore. I'm pretty sure you was banged on. I'm pretty sure you sprung your ankle a few times and got taped and played through it. But especially in this day and time, I don't know if you're with it, but I know you say the signs as far as, these guys having, rest games, air quotes. And I know I knew you wasn't gonna believe in that, but like you saying, it definitely, as far as being available in your mindset, as far as approaching these games. So that says a lot.
I don't see what you can gain from what do they call it now? Load management.
Load management, yeah, yeah.
To me, I think you're leaving your team hanging out to dry. And like I said, I had one game I missed in my college career. I missed probably about maybe less than 15 in 13 years as a professional.
Right.
When you're not available, you're to a degree, your team is counting on you.
Right.
And it's not only your team, the coaching staff, the coaching staff has planned all week of how they're going to utilize you. And I think as a professional, I learned a lot in my career about being proactive about your injuries,
Right.
your illness, everything that you have to try to be available to perform. I left the university early. I got drafted to the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if you can touch on it, but I got drafted in the second round. I made the roster, signed me to a multi-year deal. And I was there sitting on the inactive roster. So I was sitting behind the bench with a sport coat on for the first 15 games or so before they sent me down to the D-League. But what happened to me was in the summer league. No, actually, it was in the pre-draft tryouts. I actually pulled a quad muscle working out for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
And quad injury, it lingered for months. And I was not able to be 100% healthy through the training camp. And even though I had a contract and I made the roster, I believe that first impression played a role in, me not getting, I would say, the look that I felt like I could have shown them to show what I can do.
Yeah.
When they needed a roster change, I was probably easy answer for them to choose. But I would say to young players, is to always be available, and take that ownership onto yourself. If that means that you are getting in proper condition, if you're hydrated, if you are having the proper nutrition, if you are in, everything that you have to do to prepare yourself for the opportunity, you need to try to control it as much as you can, because you never know when the chance is going to come and your name is going to be called. And I had to learn one time, for my name to be called and I wasn't 100% or even close to it. And I learned from that day on, to always try to be ready to go when they call you.
Right. And it's definitely, I say it all the time, it's better to be proactive instead of reactive. And I know, especially, I know I had the flu too. This is a story that, the fans don't know about. We played against Mississippi State my senior year on the road, and it was the day of the game. Like that night before, I wasn't feeling too good. I had to switch. And then, like, that next morning, man, I didn't go to class. Like this ain't even me. Like I didn't go to class. I didn't answer none of my calls or nothing. So Ricky, shout out Ricky Tarrant, man. My guy, he took care of me, man. I was a big baby in that bed, but he took care of me. He came in the room. He like, man, Coop, man, these folks, calling me about you. Like, where you at, man? So I like, bro, I don't feel good, man. Like I'm weak. I can't move. Like he had to literally like get me out the bed. Like I had to put my arm around him. He really had to like walk me like to the elevator. Like it was crazy. So he made a joke that always sticks with me. I was laying on the elevator. I was just weak. He said, bro, I really can put hands on you right now. It's nothing you can do. It's nothing you can do. I said, bro, you really can do whatever you want to do right now. It's nothing I can do because I'm so weak. But anyway, get to the hospital. They said I had the flu, so they had to put 2 bags of, fluids in me. So I'm in the hospital the whole time. So got out of there. Got out of there. JB, our trainer at the time, he drove me down to Starksville and separate away from the team. So I ended up deciding to play that game. So I played the game, and if anybody goes back and watch that game, you can see on my face it looked like I was almost high, like my eyes so low, like my jersey's drenched, like it was bad. But I think I had like 15-17 that game, 15.17, but made big plays down the stretch. But after that, man, I went straight to the truck, laid down, went to sleep, man. It was bad. It was terrible, man. Huh?
Did y'all win the game?
Yeah, we won. We won. Yeah. So got to do it. It's in our blood, man.
Yeah, well, definitely. You got to push through. I mean, as an athlete, you have to push through. But I think more than anything, it's preparing yourself for the bad moments so you can push through, to show up. So those are the things that are important in my opinion.
Right, got you. So what was it like playing your first game in Coleman Coliseum? So I know the crowd's going crazy. What was it like for you that you can remember off the top of your head?
Oh, well, I did not get off to a start in my collegiate career that matches the fanfare that I came in with. Our first game preseason NIT, and it was against Miami of Ohio. And I want to say I played maybe 8-10 minutes. I scored 2 points, maybe pulled a rebound. Now I'll tell you this. I mean, we had a veteran team.
Right.
You're talking about 2 starters in the post, Ronald Steele at the point.
Right.
The team had just won SEC West the year before. Jean Felix was a returner. Justin Jonas was on the team. Evan Brock was a senior. So we had a team that had guys who had a lot of chemistry.
Right.
Had a lot of success in their careers. So had experience, and particularly in the post position. So for me, I kind of came off the bench in the first game, didn't have anything too special. The next game we played against Memphis at home, a matchup of 2 top 15 programs. And the atmosphere really wasn't too filled up. It was a game in, November, 2 top 15 teams. And, not too many people were there, unfortunately.
Really?
But I see one point in the next game, I think we played against Alabama State. And, it was a blowout. I got a little chance to get a little bit more.
Right.
But in the third game, I had 22 points and 14 rebounds and, 4 blocks somewhere in there. So that was something that kind of helped my confidence. But moving forward, I have to be honest, until SEC play, having the first game, Chuck Davis actually goes down with a knee injury. He goes down in the opener against Ole Miss in the first half. He tears his ACL. And that gave myself an opportunity to seize the moment. From that point on, in the SEC, I was kind of having to be relied on by the coaching staff. And I finished the SEC season, the second leading rebounder in the conference. We were second in the West to 2 teams that went to the Final Four, with Florida winning the national championship. LSU, they go to the Final Four. So I had some big games in the SEC play. So honestly, my real opening to my career was more so getting into SEC play.
Gotcha.
So I take a little bit more pride. I had a game, I want to say, against Florida the last loss they had before they win 10 in a row and win it all.
Mm,
And have, I don't know, I think around 13 points and 17 rebounds and some blocks as a true freshman.
nice.
Same rebounds against like LSU. And both of those teams were Final Fours. The atmosphere against those 3 games, LSU,
Crazy.
Tennessee was top 10, Florida, who we all beat at home, it's nothing like it. And when the arena can get packed and the fans can get behind you, then it can be a special place to play.
Got you. And for the young people out there, that's just a lesson within itself as far as being prepared for the opportunity don't come, and not being prepared for the opportunity coming, you're not prepared. So I always make sure that you having things in place to where at some point, if you putting the work in, you being consistent, you being disciplined, it's going to come at some point. It always happens like that. But if you're not ready for the opportunity and not prepared, that's what go really eat at you, and that's where that regret come in at. But
Absolutely.
definitely be prepared with that. So with all the awards, in college that you got, being John Wooden preseason candidate, SEC coaches preseason, SEC media preseason, all SEC. The thing that stood out to me was, your academic all SEC and your SEC Good Works team member for community service. So, which says a lot about you. So talk about that as far as, I like for athletes to be versatile, doing things outside, like not just looking at us just as athletes, but also we have a lot more to offer than that. So talk about that. I know you were saying both your parents were educators too, so I know that was big on you making sure that you get your grades. So talk about that.
Well, I've always taken pride in being a well-rounded individual, and even
Right,
though basketball is a passion of mine, it's one of many passions that I
right,
have. I like to enjoy doing several things with my free time, and that's always been, my personality. But academics was something that I did take seriously. In hindsight, I wish I would have focused more, but you have so much on your plate
right.
that I have to kind of be proud of what I did achieve.
Mm,
But it was a goal to be an academic all SEC performer. I actually wish that I would have pushed myself to be an academic all American,
right.
but I have to take what I was able to do. But academics has always played a very important role, I
Mm,
believe, in the college system, and to educate yourself to be a more well-rounded individual.
right.
And I think only improve everything that you have to do, and just to give it all you have and everything that you're asked to be a part of, is some value in that.
It is for sure, for sure. So especially with Coach Oates coming in town, as far as everything he's done accomplished so far. Just looking from afar, you watching the teams in the last couple of years and what him and the coaching staff have done so far as playing style, getting to the Sweet 16, bringing in top recruits and making it attractive again to play at Alabama as far as the up and down pace and stuff like that. So you just looking from afar. Like, what can you say as far as the things you just saw from Coach Oates, up to this point that you like seeing?
Well, I'm happy about the success that he is able to have with the program,
Right,
especially instantly. I think that it was in year 2 to win the SEC regular season, and maybe even more impressively to win the tournament, which is
right.
something that Alabama has in a long time, which is a very hard feat to do,
Been
to
a
win
while. Right,
3 or 4 days. I was impressed with that. I think that Alabama was in a great situation this past year
mm,
with having a veteran team. To
right,
come into it, you're able to have the John Petty's, Herb Jones, and all of those guys, Alex Reese, who were in that class, to be able to be there, to have that luxury as juniors and seniors in a league where, not just a league, but just in college basketball where youth is just everywhere.
everywhere.
I think
Right,
see from watching all of the games, the adjustments that the staff was able to make from
mm,
early season games. And I think they were able to do that with a lot of the maturity on the roster.
mm-hmm.
But for them to be able to win and to see Alabama win those championships this past year was really, really, a fabulous thing. I was happy to see it happen, and I hope that they can have some more in the future.
Right, exactly. And I know, like after the LSU game, he's a very analytical guy. As far as I know, after the game, I had went to the back and we was shooting pool, talking trash and stuff like that. He's a very competitive guy. We supposed to play the best out of 5, and went from that to playing 10 games. And he was like, man, my wife's going to kill me. But because we was there, a couple hours after the game. But he was saying that he was like, Coop, man, I want you to look at this. So he was showing me the stat sheet. He was saying in the first 7 seconds, we're top 5 in the country in scoring. In the last 7 to 10 seconds, we're not so good as far as offensively. So if you ever see me get on to a guy, it's because I'm telling him to push the pace or to, shoot the open shots or hit the big, run into the rim. So it's definitely, I was like, dang, I was like, it must be nice because, we was more of like a run plays type, type offense. It was difficult, but he's definitely an analytical guy. And, him just bringing in these top recruits, it says a lot about him too. So big bro, so, we older now, we got families, married and stuff like that or whatever. So without getting nobody in trouble, what's a funny story or a couple of stories that you can share with the people that people don't know about either on or off the court during your time at Bama?
Oh,
it don't have to be PG, but,
I don't know. I guess I don't really have too many of them. You're gonna have. I hope there are not too many of them of me. The funniest stories you're gonna have to ask some of these other guys. It's gonna revolve around the conditioning.
I got you.
If you want to hear some funny stuff, you talk to some of those guys about
Yeah.
that. I might tell you some things that went on back in those days, but
Yeah.
that's about the only thing that you're probably gonna see that's just gonna be so memorable because
Yeah.
every time we get together, they bring that stuff up.
That's the only thing.
I found myself being the only one sitting around not laughing.
Yeah.
If they want to have their fun with it, you let them go right ahead. But I don't have too many stories. I mean, hey, I'll make the story say I was focused on my work.
Right. I got you. I'm gonna definitely ask some of these guys once I get them on. I'm gonna ask about your preseason conditioning stories for sure.
Well, probably lies. Then don't listen to them.
Don't listen to it.
Whatever you're about to say is it's not all true.
Fake news. Yeah. It's just headlines just to get people attention.
It's definitely fake news.
Fake. I got you. So like on all the episodes, man, the 3 things, I like to focus on is to entertain, inspire, and inform the people. So, with all of us, like I was talking about, I want the people to see the human side of us. So, with everybody, we go through some type of adversity in life, the highs and the lows, the trials and tribulations. So what's some adversity that you had to overcome up until this point that you can share with the people?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, my mentality has always been really big about being proactive about adversity. It's going to come in life. You have to understand that. If things are good, they're probably going to go bad at some point.
Right.
So you prepare yourself for whatever the moment is. It's not to say that I haven't gone through personal adversity, on the court, off the court, everything, but I just try to keep a mentality that whatever it is, if I keep staying the course, then I think I'll be okay. And to keep an even keel about everything that I'm doing. Athletically, adversity. I like to think of myself as was a pretty good basketball player in the college level and high school, and even I still play even now.
Right.
One thing I would say is that everyone grows up with the goal of trying to make it to the NBA.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily happen. You've went down a whole list of achievements that I had. I feel like in every experience that any basketball player has had to see, I have probably been a part of it. But to never say that, sitting down the bench in a real game with my jersey on, the coach looks down and says, hey, Hendrix, go get in the game. It never happened. And that can be a tough pill to swallow, something that takes some adversity to get past, to go and find a situation of employment in your profession where people value you. And I would say it's a very difficult thing of adversity that I probably went through and many athletes go through, where you have the personal goal where you want something, but it's not in the cards for you. And how do you digest that and get past it and find your niche and where you are?
Right.
So I would say, was it difficult for me to say, yeah, you're one of the best players to play from the state of Alabama history.
Right.
You're a McDonald's All-American. You're a top 5 player in your country, in the country.
Right.
Maybe in the world. And you never get a chance to play in the show. You play for EuroLeague championships, you win Euro Cup MVPs.
Right.
You've experienced everything that you can possibly experience in the game. But there's an adverse situation that you know that there are players that are not as good as you, haven't achieved as much as you,
Right.
That have made it to the highest level that everyone else respects.
Right.
Handling the adversity of getting validation from others.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very hard pill for people to get past
Yeah.
and swallow. My advice to others would be to find a niche for yourself. Realize that other people's validation in your career and what you're doing does not define who you are.
Right.
Stay on the course of what your goal is based on the knowledge and the information that you have, and make the best out of the situation of who wants you.
Right.
Because what you want is not always going to happen, but the attitude that you bring from the circumstance that takes place is all you can have. And that's been the approach that I've liked to have for the last 13 years of my professional career. The best job that you have is the job that you have now.
Right.
And appreciate it, be appreciative of it, work hard, and do the best with what you have, and good will come from that. But adversity from not getting what you want, you got to figure out a way to kind of get past it and want you and make the best of it.
That was just straight gems right there, bro. I appreciate you for sharing that. And then on top of that, just listen to what you're saying as far as, staying even keel, staying the course. And everything you talked about, reverted back to the word that stood out to me, perspective. Like, you got to have the right perspective in any situation that you're in. And then on top of that, it's definitely, I have a caption that says perspective drives performance every day of the week. So if you had the right perspective in any situation, and normally as us as athletes, the people we're trying to get validation from, they have not accomplished none of the things that we accomplished. Normally, they haven't done nowhere close. Probably ain't got past high school in sports. But
nor do they have any influence on where you're trying to go,
right?
What you're trying to achieve,
right?
So, but I do understand personally that in this athletic world, particularly in basketball, is such a visible sport that everyone can play.
Right.
It's an intimate sport that, you're a pickup
football,
game.
You got that helmet on. Yep.
Yeah. Football, you have a helmet on. You have a job to do that is independent from other people on the court.
Right.
It's very difficult to simply judge the value of each individual. But when we line it up on the basketball court in a pickup game, everybody can walk off the court saying, oh, this guy's good and that guy's not as good as me.
Right.
XYZ.
Exactly.
As basketball players, that is very important to us to walk off the court and have the validation from our peers to say, oh, he can go.
Right, exactly.
But that doesn't have anything to do with employment.
Right, right.
It's a hard pill for people to swallow, to say, oh, I don't think he's that good. Well, that's fine. Do I work for you?
Right.
And you have to kind of have that perspective in things, because a lot of people just simply do not. They are more caught up in trying to impress that guy than try to impress the guy that wants them, that appreciates them, that values them, and employs you ultimately. I think that should be the goal, personally.
Exactly. And I definitely know what you mean about that, because there's been plenty of times in training camps and stuff like that where I'm cooking dudes, but the cards just wasn't lined up for me. And then on top of that, I didn't understand business then, but when I injured my wrist and I was out for a year, all the guys that was on the team, as far as with the Rockets G League team, it was all the guys in the first round got sent down to the G League for in-game reps. It was 2 guys from the Celtics first round, 2 guys from the Nuggets first round. They got sent down to the G League. It was guys that fell out the NBA that was trying to make it back up. I was one of the top 5 guys in the training camp doing my thing, but with me being out for a year, I really didn't have anything to leverage. And the coach, I sat across the table from the coach, and he said, man, any of the other years, you've been one of the go-to guys, one of the starters, but, we'd have paid these guys this money. A lot of these guys, they played this past year, and, we got to play them. And I was pretty much it was nothing I could control. It was nothing pertaining to my talent. It was just the cards I was dealt. And it took the air out of me. It took some time for me to really understand that. And I had to go through that dark space. I had to go through that period. I had to go through, depression and all that and get through that. But I said I wouldn't change it for nothing because it made me into a better man as far as, mentally, spiritually, and, being well rounded outside the game. So with you, being a 13-year vet, playing at the high level, and you pretty much have seen it all. What advice would you give to a college guy that's going to be watching or listening to this, making the transition from, playing college ball to being a pro?
Simple, control what you can control.
Mm,
You have to understand, I would say to young guys, high school, particularly college, who have aspirations of being a professional.
mm,
This is a job. This is
right.
a career. This is a business.
Mm,
There's a difference between the business of basketball and basketball itself.
right.
You yourself think that you are a certain caliber of player. Your friends, your mother, your supporters.
Mm,
Your employer may think different, and that can go either way.
right.
You might be that good of a player in the pickup game, but someone values your one skill set that the team needs, and they want to compensate you well for it.
Right.
Or you can be the dominant guy in the pickup game, but your skill set does not correlate to what any team wants, and you find yourself securing deals and contracts that you feel are far less than what your worth is
Right.
on the basketball tip. That advice that I would give to players is find your niche.
Mm,
It is a very hard pill to swallow because, as basketball players are warriors, they're
right.
competitors.
Right.
You want to be good, you want everyone to know that you're good.
Right.
A lot of times I've seen so many players get caught up in trying to impress others instead of trying to find a situation
Mm,
where they are respected and valued
right.
and then working up from there. As I said, I played 13 years. I was a draft pick. I never played an actual second in the NBA. Not
Mm,
to say that I didn't have NBA aspirations,
right.
but it wasn't in the cards. I realized at a young age in my professional career, the business of it. My rookie year, within the first few months, I signed a multi-year contract. I'm on the roster.
Right.
You know, they compensate you and they say, hey, you can go ahead and go. We're going to have to just part ways. And,
Mm,
even if you got a great package on the compensation, it doesn't really matter.
right.
The matter of the fact was, you learned the business early on. And when I
Mm,
found that, I said, oh, you can look it up. The first game I ever played in the preseason, we played against Oklahoma City
yeah.
Thunder. I have 12 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 12 minutes of playing time.
Mm, mm,
Kevin Durant's on the court, Russell Westbrook's on the court.
right. Right.
So for me, in my mind, to tell me that I can't play on that level is not the case.
Right.
A different conversation of saying, what's worth my time trying to chase something that someone doesn't want me? How long am I going to do it? How
Right.
many training camps am I going to go to? How many summer leagues am I going to play? Before, on the other hand, I see here's an opportunity where
Right.
someone
Somebody
values me.
values you. Yeah. Right.
I made the decision in my career to always stick with the people that wanted me, and that was what I would give to advice to players. And not to say not to pursue whatever type of your dreams are,
Right.
but be understanding of the business. And sometimes your dreams are not controlled by yourself as much as you want to work as hard as you want.
Yeah.
You just don't have that control.
Right.
So sometimes you need to take in mind to control what you can control.
Mm,
And there's plenty of opportunities out there.
mm. And for the college guys that going to be watching this, take that advice because that was wisdom. I wish I had that advice when I was first coming out of school. I wish I had that.
Well,
Yeah.
Rodney, I'm sure I came around and told you. Just
Yeah.
like I told
I
everyone else.
said.
I'm sure I can. You probably find some stories from them other guys that they talk about me is that I'm always coming and saying these things.
Coming to say it. Yeah.
So I have a few cornerstone philosophies that I'm going to come and say to everybody. I went down to
Right.
Tuscaloosa this past to a few guys. I said the same thing to them. Maybe it'll resonate.
Mm.
But my personality, I feel like my job there is done. I told you one time.
Right.
It was because in the business of basketball, that's how it's going to go. You're going to get
Right.
one time when the coach says, "Hey, Coop, get in the game. You got LeBron James. Are you going
Right.
to strap him up? Are you going to lock him up? What are you going to do?
Right.
Are you
Right.
going to know the game plan? Are you going to know the scout report? Are you going to know the play when he says, hey, I need a power forward. Get in the game, play power forward. Are you going to say, Coach, I don't play power
Play
forward? I'm
right,
Are you going to get in the game and run the play that the power forward plays and
right.
execute it to the best of your ability?
Mm-hmm.
This is how life in basketball works.
Right.
And there was your opportunity. There was your
Mm-hmm.
niche. You have to be prepared for that.
You got to be
And then
available too, like you said.
be available
Yeah.
and be ready to seize the moment when it comes.
Mm.
But to piggyback on what I just said, it's like sometimes they're not going to want you.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I would equate it sometimes to like wanting a girlfriend. You might want the prettiest girl in the room.
Right.
The prettiest girl in the room might not want you.
Right. Yeah.
What kind of decision are you going to make? Because it might be a girlfriend right there who is perfect for you.
Right.
It's going to be a great friend to you and help you to see whatever you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you need to consider that as opposed
And that
to
quote unquote pretty girl is probably a headache.
could be. Could
Right.
be. I mean, could be, but, what should matter to you is maybe the other girl is the pretty girl to you.
Mm.
And that's the only thing that matters, regardless if she was not the prettiest to everyone else in the room. You
Right.
got what you
Mm-hmm.
be grateful, thankful that you have it, and go somewhere and make something positive out of that. That would be my advice to a lot of these college guys, because I've seen too many times, getting into dark situations, trying to pursue a professional career, and you don't see this thing get off the ground the way that you want it to.
Right.
And you can't see that, hey, this is a long-term career.
Right.
If you start any other job and you went and worked at any other job, you're going to start at entry level. You're not
Right.
going to come in as a boss. Even though you have these high lottery picks who come in making large seven-figure salaries, they're starting in as a star recruit. They're coming in at higher levels. But hey, everybody else that goes and gets employment has to come in on the entry level.
Right.
And you, just like everyone else, working for a long period of time.
Right.
And you slowly climb up the ladder and you pick and choose your spots of where you appreciate it. That's a hard pill for people to accept in basketball, because you raise your whole career thinking, I want to be a draft pick, I want to be a lottery pick. I see them signing for these levels of money.
Mm-hmm.
Your time comes, you have an offer from, basketball club, etc., from
Right.
overseas for
Right.
amount. You say, man, I can just go get a job working anywhere with this. Well, maybe that was your opportunity.
Right. Right.
That was your starting point.
Right.
It's all about a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And my advice to guys coming out of college is, it's an entry-level job. Work your way up, grind, put your head down, control what you can control.
Right.
And you might look up 10, 11, 13 years later, you might still be playing, and you look at the wealth of experiences that you have had, not just on a financial standpoint, but just in life in general. And it might be something of value. It might be.
And just to piggyback off what you're saying, not playing the comparison game, because once you do that, that's when you're going down that rabbit hole. You got to stay tunnel vision. And like you were saying, think long term instead of short term. That's the key thing. That's the key thing. So that's dope, man. So let me ask you this. So who would you like to see on Locker Room Talk with Coop? And before you answer this, whoever you say, you got to help me connect with that person. So who you like to see on the show?
Wow. I've enjoyed the show so far. Every time I see when you put some content out on social media, I always listen. I'm a constant learner. I'm trying to get a little bit of wisdom from some of the players or the coaches that you have on your show. And everyone says a little something that, I agree with, or maybe something I've never heard of that I can apply in my life to make myself better, give myself an advantage in some areas. So I've enjoyed the guests on the show. If I could think, I'm a person that we probably both play. Did you have Mikhail Torrance on the show yet?
Man, nah. Me and him went to a game. I'm gonna get him on. Yeah, Mikhail. He got a story too.
I would think he does. That's a mutual person that I think that we both played with.
I didn't play with him. He was a senior when I was a senior in high school. So when I came, he was gone. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of those years kind of get, they kind of mix up. You were there from 2011 to 14 or something?
15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, my last year was 08. So a lot of that stuff was, I kind of miss a lot of those years.
Mm.
But a really good guy to probably get a little something from. Chuck Davis is another person. I'll tell you another person, if you want to find a little bit of an eclectic person, it's Jamari.
Jamari, okay.
You can find him somewhere out there.
Yeah.
He's someone that I don't know how much he wants to talk about basketball or whatever he has, but I'm pretty sure he would be an informative interview that a lot of people would love to hear what he has to say. But those would just be some of the top guys, just a few of those guys that I played with from my time.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. We go make that happen for sure. Oh yeah, I missed one. So the importance of financial literacy, because I know I had put up a post like, a year or so ago, and I know we was, talking back and forth on Instagram. You was like, man, it's refreshing to see, former athletes and some of the guys I've been following, talk a little bit about that. And we was asking questions about this certain book we was talking about. So talk about the importance of, making sure that, you have a team around you, but not being afraid to ask questions because you don't want to look, quote unquote, uneducated or, don't really know much. Talk about the importance of that, because I understand you want to make sure you have a team built around you, but making sure that you understand each position as far as the team that you're building. So talk about that before we wrap things up.
Well, I think if you definitely go back and talk to those guys that I played with back days, I definitely have a reputation for kind of being the guy that has some ideas in that avenue of finances and lifestyle and whatnot.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more of a throwback or old school style that I might have compared to what other people. But basically,
Right.
what I would tell a lot of these guys is that, man, you have an opportunity when you come to college to really capitalize. And now with the name, image, and likeness,
Right.
you have an opportunity to capitalize not just financially, but just in a wealth of knowledge that you can learn by being on a collegiate campus,
Right.
being with people with that many ideas, that young of an age, that much energy to put together, people who have some goals.
Right.
I would also say, people know I'm big on, I would say for guys, is to save, simply.
Right.
Save
Yeah.
as much as you can. And I would say it from a standpoint, and I say that with no hesitation, because you don't realize that so many times when you are in college, how much they are allotting you at that particular time. You
Right.
get out here in the real world and you'll see how much stuff costs.
Cost.
In the real
Right. Right.
world, you will say, why did I not take advantage of everything that they had in college? From the food,
Nutrition, trainers,
from
all that. Yeah.
from the biggest aspect, from the human capital, from the
Right.
people.
Right. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
mean, to have multiple strength and conditioning coaches, that's your leisure. Managers rebounding for you. I have to go shoot with my son in the yard, and he doesn't want to rebound for me. It's like
Right.
the price I would have to pay someone to just rebound.
Yeah.
It's going to be far more than what all of these resources that you have.
And then
So
with
I'm saying,
inflation, it go continue to climb.
yeah, it definitely is. So from everything that you experience, God, and I've had debates about the name, image, and likeness. Like I said, like people are saying, there's no precedent in how the situation will go.
Right.
But to have a clear perspective on what you're actually already getting, the value of the college education, the value of the people around you.
People. Right.
If you had to take a dollar amount and go around, and when you go into the cafeteria and eat and say, oh, I want a steak, and you say, oh, it's pretty good, give me a second one.
Yeah.
You're going to do that in real life. They're going to say $30.
Right.
Oh, you want another $30.
Right.
If you say, oh, my shoes are a little bit busted, can y'all have another pair in the back to toss me? They're going to say, in real world, that's going to be $150.
Yeah.
Oh, you want another pair? That's another $150. You want one of
Right.
these dry fit shirts?
Right.
That's $40.
Right. And it adds up.
My advice to all of these people at a young age, when you're 19, 20, they're giving you certain gear and materials and, stipends. Save it.
Right.
Save all you can. When you get into the professional ranks and you're overseas and Everything is accommodated for except for your food.
Right.
You know, don't be in such a rush to show everybody what you have.
What you have, right? Exactly.
Because, there is a long life in front of you.
Mm.
And when the ball stops bouncing, it's over. There's not going to
Right.
be any equipment manager to say, "Oh, what size shoe you wear?" Coop?
Right. Right.
13. Here, I'll go in the back and I got 2 different options for you. Or,
Right.
oh, you wear XL t-shirt. Here's 2 dry fit shirts. We'll just fold them up and put them by your locker.
Mm.
That's over with when you're done playing.
Right. Yeah.
So living in the moment and understanding, or even after a game, oh, the game ended. We're about to get on our charter
Just throw your
jet
stuff,
and fly.
throw your stuff in the bin for them to watch it. Yeah.
Just throw it in the bin.
Mm.
Throw it in the bin and get on the plane, and you'll be back watching the highlights on SportsCenter before you get back at 10:30.
Right.
Like, you do understand that doesn't happen in the real world.
Right.
So I would say on the financial aspect, when you have the opportunity where capital is allotted to you at an early age, don't squander it. Save it. Utilize the resources that they were giving you and the financial capital. Save as much as you can, and then try to find a vehicle to maybe make it work for you as you move forward.
Right.
But once you spend it, you can't spend it twice, and you'll be regretting to wish that you could get that later on, and it'll
Right.
never come.
And then also to add on top of that too is the relationship capital too, like you was talking about, the human capital. Like it's so many people around you that you hardly see, or you're not really building relationships outside of your teammates that is going to be in these Fortune 500 companies, going to be starting their own company and stuff like that. So building those relationships, like it's once you pay attention to it, because I done read a lot. I say I know too much now because I done read so much and just to open my mind up to so many different things. It's like a lot of these kids that's walking around on these campuses, like of course their parents probably got like a family business, or they been taught, they've been taught certain things to where they start their own companies and stuff like that. And just like you said, there's a wealth of knowledge around you, a lot of resources that you can use, and that is at the palm of your hand. It's just on you to utilize it and take advantage of it, during your time there. So
It's everywhere. It's everywhere you turn.
right.
And it's an amazing thing to me because it's like everywhere you turn, it's right around you, but people still seem to miss it somehow.
Right. Right.
When you leave that safety net of the college environment, you do understand things come much more difficult, become much more elusive,
Right.
and seize the moment at younger ages and try to expedite that learning curve, because it can be a tough road ahead of you if you don't get it. And there are people to tell you if you don't have someone to tell you, then call me up.
Right.
I'll say it.
I got you. That's dope, man. That's dope. So give the people your social media handles so they can follow, stay in contact with you and follow you on your journey.
I'm on everything. I'm not the most active. I don't post too much, but I'm active. I'm on there. So
Okay. Yeah.
Hendrix 35. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on anything, Facebook. So you find me on Hendrix 35 on Instagram, on Twitter. Reach out to me if you need anything. I'll get right back to you. I promise you. With just truthful information, if I can help in any way.
Got you. So that's another episode of Locker Room Talk with Coop. Make sure you guys like, comment, share this video with somebody you think will enjoy it. And also hit that red button, those red letters that says subscribe for you, boy, if you join the show. And Richard, big bro, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.